941, day 2, which has the same title as yesterday, called Inverse Functions. And we are going to be answering the question, how can I undo a function? So question 128 says, Anissa is going to Japan to stay with a friend and is trying to decide what to pack. Her friend Chieko tells her that at the time she is visiting, the temperature will be as high as 30 degrees Celsius during the day and drop to about 25 degrees Celsius at night. Anissa cannot remember the formula for converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit, but she knows she can figure it out. Part A says, Anissa knows that water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. In the United States, which one do we use? Celsius or Fahrenheit? Fahrenheit, right? Because 30 degrees and 25 degrees sounds really cold, right? But it's actually not. All right. She also knows that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Write a linear function for C that will help Anissa convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Use the given values to write your function. Okay, so our function is going to be, that's the function of Celsius is going to be equal to 9/5 of whatever the temperature given plus 32, right? So what are we going to do with that? We're going to plug in the Celsius degrees that she expects it to be, and that'll tell us roughly how many degrees Fahrenheit she would expect, so she'd be able to compare it to what it's more like here in the United States. Okay, so for part B, it says, how warm and how cold will it be in Japan in degrees Fahrenheit when Anissa visits Chieko? Okay, so one of the temperatures she gave her was 30. So we plug in the 30, we multiply it by 9/5 on the calculator, then we add 32. That means it's going to be 86 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than it is today, right? Today it's in like the high 60s, okay? All right, then we plug in the other number that she gave us, which was 25, okay? So we plug in the 25, multiply it by 9/5 on the calculator, add the 32, and that puts it at 77 degrees. So 86 would be the high, 77 would be the low. So what kind of clothes should she bring? Spring or summer clothes, right? You know, something, definitely not a down jacket and a beanie, right? She should be wearing t-shirts and shorts or light pants, okay? All right, part C says, Chieko will be visiting Anissa in California in a few months. How can she convert temperatures from Fahrenheit to Celsius? Write a function f that will help Chieko. Use the values for freezing and boiling water to write your function. Okay, so what you're going to notice for part C is that we're going to have 5/9 times x minus 32. Part D says, what is the relationship between functions C and F? So you look back at part A and you look at part C. What do you notice when you compare A and C? Yes. Yes, they are inverse. How do we know? Do you remember yesterday when I told you or taught you how to look at them? You want to see the same what? Same numbers. Do you see the same numbers? Yeah. Is there a 9 in part C?
Oh,
yeah. Is there a 5 in part C? Yes. Is there a 32 in part C? Yes. Are they inverse or opposite operations of each other? Yes. This 9/5, this is 5/9. So it's flipped, it's inverted, right? This is plus 32, this is minus 32. So a visual check, just looking at them, you should be able to see that they are inverse functions of each other. Everybody see it? Okay. All right, question 129 says, to get jobs in the recycling department, Ambrose and Kimberly must demonstrate that they understand every aspect of inverse functions. They decide to study together by investigating the table and graph of a function and its inverse. Complete the parts below to help them out. Part A says they choose to study the function h of x equals 2x minus 1. I highlighted it I boxed it in pink because I graphed it in pink. If you have two colors, you can do the same thing. So maybe you have a pencil and a pen, all right? Or you have a black and a blue pen, or you have pink because you're cool like me. And you're going to write the equation of the inverse function h of x. Okay, so instead of multiplying the x by 2 and subtracting 1, we're going to add 1 and divide by 2. So this is what we did yesterday. We wrote the steps. The original equation, multiply by 2, and then subtract 1. So we're going to do the double switcheroo. Instead of subtracting 1, we're going to add 1, and we're going to make it the first step. And instead of multiplying by 2, we're going to divide by 2, and we're going to make it the second step. Those are called inverse operations. That gives us an inverse h of x of x plus 1 over 2, boxed it in blue, and graphed it in blue. So part B says, draw a complete graph of the function and its inverse on the same set of axes. Label the coordinates of x and y of both functions, and what do you notice? All right. So for the original function, the h of x, which is 2x minus 1, you're going to make a t-chart. There's a point at 1, 1. There's a point at 2, 3. There's a point at 0, negative 1. And there's a point at negative 1, negative 3. That gets you the graph in pink. Then if we use the inverse table, we're simply going to take these numbers and flip them. 1, 1 stays the same, but it's really flipped. 2, 3 becomes 3, 2. 0, negative 1 becomes negative 1, 0. And negative 1, negative 3 becomes negative 3, negative 1. We're simply swapping the numbers, okay? You graph it, and you see something. Then you're going to write, I notice blank. And you're going to fill in, what do you notice about these two graphs? Page 27, it has part C. It says, Ambrose makes a table of values for h of x from x equals negative 3 to x equals positive 3. So it's all right here. Here are all of the x values, and here are all of the h of x values. Then Kimberly realizes that she can create a table for h inverse of x by looking at Ambrose's table. What does Kimberly's table look like? Okay, so you're going to complete this table using this table. Go ahead and do that on your paper right now. 30, which is titled a quadratic inverse, it says, what about the inverse of a quadratic function? So we're going to consider the function, the f of x is equal to x squared. Part A says, make a table for the function of x squared from negative 3 to positive 3, and draw a complete graph of the function. And then they don't give you very much room, so I had to do it down at the bottom. So the first one you're going to see down at the bottom is for part A. They want you to go all the way from negative 3 to positive 3. And it's just squaring each number. So negative 3 squared is 9, negative 2 squared is 4, negative 1 squared is 1, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, and 3 squared is 9. All right? Those are all pretty easy numbers to square. Hopefully you have those memorized. So when you go to graph it, you're going to go over to the coordinate plane. And mine is in dark green right here. So you should have a point at negative 3, 9, negative 2, 4, negative 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, and 3, 9. It's going to give you that parabola, okay? Looks like a U. Part B says, use the table to make a new table for the inverse of the function of x squared, okay? So we're simply going to take the points from part A and flip them. So instead of negative 3, 9, it's going to be 9, negative 3. Instead of negative 2, 4, it's going to be 4, negative 2. Instead of negative 1, 1, it's going to be 1, negative 1. 0, 0 looks the same. 1, 1 looks the same. 2, 4 becomes 4, 2. And 3, 9 becomes 9, 3. And then it wants us to graph it. For part C, it says, graph the points in the table you made for the inverse. Does your graph represent a function? Okay. So for the first graph that we made for part A, which is this parabola right here, it is a function because it only has one point at every point. But when we graph its inverse over here, if I were to plug in a 4, there are two answers, right? There's a point at negative 2, and there's a point at positive 2, which makes the inverse not a function, okay? So the f of x is a function, but f inverse of x is not a function. So question D says, write an equation for f inverse of x. What restrictions can you place on the domain of the original function to make sure that its inverse is also a function? Okay? So this might be the first time you've heard this, but if your original function is x squared, you need the inverse operation of squaring. So the inverse operation of squaring is square rooting. It's to take the square root. So the inverse operation is to take the square root of x. And because it creates a graph that is not a function, you have to do what's called restricting the domain. Okay, you'll get more into this next year when you take integrated math 3. You'll see a lot of these because you'll have squaring and square rooting. You'll have cubing and cube rooting. So you'll get higher degrees, okay? So we're going to restrict the domain to when x is greater than 0, which essentially cuts off the bottom half of this graph, and you're left only with that top part. Then it is a function and makes it look or become a function.